Did it start? Usually says recording started, but it didn't. Hello, recording started. Welcome to our Lunch and Learn today on the 12th of November. The topic is turn your weekly presentation into a referral magnet. Every week, we get the opportunity to present our official referral request to our chapters. 48 times a year, we get the opportunity to spend 30 to 60 seconds to say who we want to meet. And I'm going to share with you a few little hints that I think are going to help you to get more out of that time. Before we start officially, though, I do really like to make sure that we always talk about our core values in BNI. Welcome, Helen. And so, Ross, you are unmuted. I would love for you to please share with us the core value that is calling out to you at the moment.
Lifetime learning, because from learning you get that you learn why givers gain is real. You learn about recognition, the importance of positive attitude, and accountability. And accountability is really, the one that in life means that you're accountable to your goals. So lifetime of learning, that's what I think this really should have been where the BNI is.
Yeah, I love it. Thank you very much for sharing that. Our agenda for today is to give you the hints and tips that you need, get your mindset in the right spot, and then let you leave with 12 presentations that you can give over the next 6 weeks in 2025 and the first 6 weeks in 2026. All right, so let's go. Things we need to unlearn. Now, Chris is a brand new member in our region. Laura, Ross, and Helen have been around for longer than Chris has. So Laura, Ross, and Helen may have things to unlearn. Chris, don't pay any attention to this. The weekly presentation is when we get to tell people about our businesses. We need to unlearn that. That is not what the weekly presentation is for. We need to unlearn this, that the visitors need to know about all the things that we do. No, they don't. They don't. You couldn't possibly do it. If we leave something out, we'll probably miss out on a referral. It's not true. It's not true at all. We need to tell people about our expertise and our qualifications. That is not true. By being in the room, by being members, by wearing our member badges, by being professional, and by being prepared, they will assume that we have the expertise and the qualifications that enable us to be members of that chapter. We do not need to tell them how experienced we are and what our qualifications are. General statements will give us more opportunities. We need to unlearn this. Many people worry about leaving someone out, or if I'm too specific, then I won't get what I need. That is just not true. General statements are too general for people to think about. As a member, the only opportunity to make an impression on the visitors is the weekly presentation. Not true. You have the entire meeting to make a good impression. Even sitting in your chair, you will make an impression. But before the meeting sit down time in the open networking, you can make a great impression. And after the meeting, you can make a great impression. You can also make a great impression by assisting visitors. And finally, we need to unlearn this. The meeting is for the visitors. It is not. The meeting is for the members. So all of these statements are untrue. And they are things that BNI members have, more experienced BNI members believe to be true. So I would like to challenge your thinking on that. We need to unlearn those. So let's unlearn them. The meeting is for the members. Let's start at the bottom. As a member, you have many opportunities to make an impression on the visitors. Specific statements will give you more opportunities. We do not need to tell people about our expertise and qualifications. It will be assumed. If we leave something out, we will have an opportunity to talk about potential referrals later. Visitors only need to know that BNI works as a system. And the weekly presentation is where you get to train your fellow members on the kinds of referrals you want to receive. So there you go. That's the truth. The unlearn is the stuff in the print. So let's go to the objectives. We want to make sure that our weekly presentations have clarity on how to craft presentations. So that's what I want to give you today. Clarity on how to craft presentations that will drive results. I also want to give you a deeper understanding of the purpose and power behind the weekly presentations and practical tips and content you can immediately apply to your next, not 10, we're going for more, 12 presentations. All right. So we need to make your weekly presentations more impactful and effective. The most important thing to remember is that you are training members on how to find referrals. It's very different than advertising and marketing your business. So think about this. Our mission in BNI is to grow the members' businesses through a positive, professional, structured marketing program that enables them to develop long-term relationships with quality business professionals. The grow your business part means to get referrals. So all we need to do as members is train our fellow members in the referrals we want. Okay. The opportunity in the weekly presentation is to reinforce what we get into detail in our one-to-ones. All right. So I like to think about the weekly presentation in reverse. I'm going to tell you a story. I am a person who has been in BNI as a member for 10 years. And that was before I became the executive director. And I watched weekly presentations occur all the time. And so I've got 10 years of experience as a member listening to weekly presentations and now 15 years in total. Think about this. You hear someone talk and say, hi, this is who I am. This is what I do. These are the kinds of people that I help. And this week, what I'm looking for is this. We end with what we want. So first of all, we're ending with what we want. This week, the perfect referral for me is this. All right, we end with that. I'd like you to think about it very differently. Let's start with that because that's what the weekly referral request is. The weekly presentation starts with who you want to meet. So we need to reverse it. And I often do this with my showcase presentations as well. You get 10 minutes to do a showcase presentation in almost all of our chapters. And most people's last slide is the referrals I'd like to receive are to these sorts of people. I suggest you start with that. Move it to the beginning. Hi, my name is Wendy, and I am a BNI executive director, and I would like referrals to these people. Boom, boom, boom. Maybe not a big list either. 3 people. That's for the 10-minute presentation. But for the 30-second presentation, which might be generously given to you as a full minute, in a full minute, you can't ask for 3 people. You need to ask for 1. And so here's the structure I recommend. We're going to reverse it. We're going to start with who you want to meet. Who do you want to meet? And to be as specific as possible. There are 2 different kinds of customers in BNI. We can narrow it down to 2. You either are asking for an introduction to a business or you're asking for an introduction to a consumer. B2B or B2C. So let's start with B2B. If you serve businesses, or if in this instance you are asking for an introduction to a business, if you say, I'd like to work with small businesses who need support in growing their business, I can't think of anybody. I know in our region alone, I know 330 pretty small businesses that want to grow their business. But I can't think of one in particular. I can just think, wow, I know a lot of people who need that, but I'm not thinking of anyone. Do you see that? Does that make sense? I've been too general. But if instead we say, I actually would like to meet John Smith. John Smith is the general manager of Acme Building Company based in Willoughby. Now, I'm looking for an introduction to John Smith because he, as the general director of that building company, he is frustrated with these things that he can't control. And I have experience controlling that specifically for businesses like John's. Okay? So I've just gone through who I want, and I've been very specific. Hi, Jean. Welcome. So I've got the who. I've also started on the how. How will I be able to identify that person? So first of all, Ross might know John Smith because he actually, used him as a builder, used that company as a building company. He might not know John Smith, but he knows that company. Laura might know people in that industry. She might say, wow, I know a lot of people in the building industry, but I don't know John Smith. Her brain has gone somewhere else. It's gone specific. It's gone to the building companies she does know. What we need to do is trigger people into thinking about specific people, even if they aren't the specific people we're asking for. But by asking for specific people, our audience is going to be challenged in the head, challenged to consider who they do know who might fit that square or that round hole. All right? So that's the who. The how. How will I be able to identify them? What problems does this person have? I started to tell you that John is frustrated with this specific activity. Now, how are those problems affecting them? What might this person be saying, doing, or experiencing that would indicate that they might be a good referral for you? That's what this Lunch and Learn is going to be all about. We're going to cover all of that in here. Do you have a story of a client who had these problems where you were able to help them overcome them? And then the most important question at the very end of your presentation, what question do I ask this person to start the conversation? Now, you only have 60 seconds to do this, and you don't want to be in speed mode. I listen to podcasts at 1.5. But I think you should actually speak in your weekly presentation at about 0.9, a little bit slower than you normally speak, so that people can take notes and hear the clarity in what you say. If you hover too quickly over your name and mumble it, people won't hear your name. They might not know your name. There are new members in your chapter who might not know your name yet. There are visitors in the room who might not know your name. There are experienced members of the chapter who might not know your name because they just don't. Names are important. So slow down, stand up. Hi, I'm Wendy Lloyd Curley from Strategic Networking. Today, I would like an introduction to David Cook. He's the owner of Adaptable IT, and he is someone who could really use growth in his business in order to hit his sales targets in 2026. The reason IT companies are successful in BNI and with strategic networking is because they get relationships with other people in the environment who naturally will be able to bring them referrals. What you could say to David in order to start the conversation is to ask him if he's organized his marketing plan for 2026 and if he's confident that he's going to be able to achieve his targets. Thank you. I'm Wendy Lloyd Curley. Sit down. All right. I've used David as the example. I've said his name. I've said his company. What I didn't say was what Adaptable IT did, and I should have. I should probably have said they provide managed IT services to businesses that have people in multiple sites. Something like that, because that would give you more exposure, more thinking. I did mention he's the owner. I'm looking for introductions to owners. So all of my little hints will help the audience realize my target market in that case. All right. And the question that I asked is something that I would ask. I would ask that question. That's natural for me. But what's not natural for me is to say something like, David, have you looked into your PE ratios this year? Or, I would never ask that. I would never ask David, what's the marketing mix that you're planning on using for next year? That's too intrusive and too detailed. It's got to be something everybody in the room would be able to ask David if they happen to know him. Yeah. And by the way, I find it a little bit of a waste of time to ask for someone who you already know. Someone yesterday in our meeting asked for someone who was in the room. And it was cute and it got a giggle, but that's a waste. You could actually tell that person directly, listen, you're my perfect referral. I would love to meet with you and talk to you about how AI and IT are working together and what we could do. So I think it's really powerful for you to actually ask people for people that you don't know so that you're not wasting that opportunity. You only get 48 opportunities a year to do it. It's difficult to come up with the question that will start the conversation. Takes a little bit of thought. So here is how we are going to get you 12 presentations. We are going to think about you in particular, and I'd love for you to take notes on this. There are 3 slides in a row right now. The first one is about planning. And I want to get specific. We have a small group on the call live. We've got other people who are watching this in the recording. I want the people on the recording to use your notes and write this down and slow me down from 1.5 speed. All right. I know you're trying to speed through it. Okay, here we go. What I want you to do if you're here live is I want you to think about your clients. Think about one of them in particular. And think about the things that they were planning on doing where you would have been able to say, you yourself would have been able to say, I could help you with that. I could help you with that. So let's try and use some examples. Let's see, Ross, you're an accountant, am I right?
Yes.
All right. So Ross, your clients would be planning on bringing another director in, maybe?
Another direct what?
Another director into their organization, perhaps? Or maybe they would be
Or partner?
planning
Yeah,
on,
of course. Yeah. Yeah.
or maybe they're planning on a lot of growth, which means they have to begin to do bad statements on a more regular basis. And so you're going to recommend a bookkeeper to them, of course, but you also would be able to help them set up differently so that they actually were protecting themselves. Yeah.
Yeah. Risk management is always
Breaking
comes
the
first.
$75,000 threshold or something like that.
Yeah, look, there's a threshold for the page you go from quarterly to monthly, and yeah, and if they're an importer, would probably go monthly BAS to get their refunds, that type of
Oh,
thing. But if
yeah.
they're getting
So
larger, we'll look at their structure to make sure it's appropriate for where they're heading and where they want to end up, and also
exactly.
the
So what I want you to write down is that your clients might be planning for a growth in the next 12 months. Planning on, for example, adding some employees. That implies growth. Okay? So that's
Mhm.
one. I want you to think of three more. Jean, you are a business coach and you help people to grow their business. Laura, you are as well. I'd love you to come up with 4 different ones. I want you both to come up with 4 different ones so that you might be able to share them with each other. You might be saying, okay, here are my 4, here are my 4, and then you've got 8. But what are things that your clients might be planning on doing? They might be planning on closing down because it's too hard. Planning doesn't always mean good things. I'm planning on looking for work because I just haven't been able to make this thing work. That might be something that you hear people say, isn't it? This is too hard. I hear people say that. I'm sure you do. Or they might be planning on the same kind of growth that Ross talked about just then, planning on adding a virtual assistant team. That would be a really good thing for you guys. For that would indicate that someone had growth and that they were investing in their business. I want you to think of 4 things that people would be planning. Chris, you're a commercial litigator, actually. So, what would people be planning in order to? Now, there are 2 other categories besides planning, but let's think about planning for you. What's one?
Yeah, well, that's the problem because my business is dealing with things that have happened and coming in to try to fix them. So I suppose what they're planning is to chase after an overdue account
Excellent.
or to get damages for something that somebody's done to them.
Okay,
Um,
that's perfect.
but
That's 2 separate lines, by the way.
yeah,
2 separate lines. So,
but
one of
but
them is
what I might say is that they might be plans, but in reality, they come to me after those plans have already been decided on and happened.
but these are the things that we might hear. So I might be talking to someone at the pub and they might say, I've got 3 people, I can't get the money out of them. I've got 3 clients who are just like, I've sent them every thing and my cash flow is affected by it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
So
that has happened. I've got 2 architect clients. That's where the problem. That's where they've given me the work is where they've spoken about very large debts that have been overdue for months,
exactly.
and
So there you go. So
I've
that's
told them
2 lines.
how to do that.
So I want you to write that down. These are things that I might be hearing out in the world, and they're each individual lines. Do not have commas in this. I don't want, they're looking for this and this, or they're planning on this and this and that. No, I want, they're planning on this on line 1. On line 2, I want they're planning on that. On line 2. On line 3, I want they're planning on that. Helen would be able, Helen declutters and organizes people. Clarity matters. I tell you, it does. And so Helen, they're planning on moving their parents out of their house. They're planning on selling their house. They are planning on moving their kids out of their house and getting a bedroom back. What's another one, Helen?
Oh, I just thought planning on growing their business next year and they want greater order and systems in their home office.
Fantastic. I love
Or
it.
what just sparked today that I've never done, wanting to move into the Airbnb business in their home, but they need to get organised for that.
Nice. That's a separate one completely. I'm planning on using one of the bedrooms for Airbnb.
Yeah.
I can imagine hearing someone saying that. Jem, how are you? Good. Okay, so Jem's an architect. So Jem, Chris can help you get paid if any of your clients don't pay you, because he just told us a story about how he helps people litigate and get the money back. Anyway, Jem is an architect, and so Jem, yours is so beautiful. They're planning on renovating and completely gutting their home and making it beautiful and new, or they are planning on knocking the whole darn thing down, or they're planning on moving into a place and they can only afford the places that aren't going to be perfect yet. These are all the things people could be planning. I want you to write down 4 things. And now I'm going to stop talking and ask each of you to share one of the 4 things that you've written down that is different than what I have already said. Ross, you go first.
Purchase plant and equipment, machinery.
Excellent. They need to purchase plant and equipment. I think that you should come up with multiple things in there. For example, they're looking at buying printers, large scale printers, or they're looking at buying tractors, or they're looking at buying new trucks, or name them, because people aren't going to say, I'm going to buy property, plant, and equipment. They're going to say,
Okay.
I need a new studio. Okay, so each one of those is a different thing that they'd be planning. So you could actually make a good list of 20 things probably in a heartbeat, thinking about your current clients and the things that they buy. Jean, how
Sure.
about you? Do you have one? Oh, I got you when you took a bite. That's my superpower.
Saving their marriage.
They're planning on saving their marriage. Give us more details than that. Oops, she's frozen. She'll come back. Maybe not. She's not back.
Am I back?
Oh, you're back now. Go ahead.
Okay.
More
So
detail.
quite often when people are, if you imagine you're at the pub or out with your girlfriends, you know, you're working, potential clients will be talking about how their partners are complaining about how they're never there and they're threatening divorce again. And they need to find a better way to be able to at least be more present when they are there and get their time and their business working in a way where they can continue the growth that they're doing and the plans that they have without sacrificing the marriage.
Okay, that's great. So they're planning. So your vagueness is not going to serve you well in the first statement that you said. I'm planning on saving my marriage. There needs to be context to it that makes me think, oh, this is Jean, right? Not a life coach. we need a we need a business coach here because this person wants to get involved in that. Or not a family lawyer. we don't want that. We want me to hear this and think about you. So be more specific about what they're planning and what they would be saying. You know, I really need to get this business in order because otherwise my marriage is going to go. So they're planning on getting their business in order to save their marriage. Yeah, I love that. Chris, would you like to share one that I haven't already shared on your behalf?
Actually, I don't really have any other than that. I mean, my business is very narrow and unimaginative. It's basically just dealing with people's claims, either defending them or pursuing them. And usually I would hear of people saying they're planning to, for instance, pursue a claim, or they've received a claim and they're trying to work out how to defend the claim.
Excellent.
So
Well, all of those claims, what I want you to do, just for yourself, is make a list of the different claims, just a bulleted list of all the different claims people could make. So they're infringing on my IP, boom. They are not paying me, boom. Their terms are unsatisfactory to me, or they've broken the terms that I agreed to and that they agreed to. Just make a list of about at least 4, but I bet you can keep going. So make a list of those. It's not unimaginative. We need a list. Helen, what about you?
I just wrote down, for people, we think we need to upsize because you don't have enough room for all the junk we have. So everyone
Excellent.
talks about
Yeah.
downsizing, but that's completely the reverse of that.
Exactly. We don't have enough space for all of our stuff.
Hmm. That's why I go
I like it.
declutter and they say it's still hundreds of thousands. And
That's
then
right.
the other one, did you say two?
No, I said one,
You said
because
one.
we're going
Great.
to another category in a minute. Laura, what about you?
Right, let me come off mute. Someone who wants to grow their business globally.
Nice. All right, fabulous. They're planning on growing globally. So they're already in Australia, or maybe they aren't, but they're gonna be there. All right, I love it. All right. Each of these is a line. The more specific you can be about it, the better. So telling a story, for example, Laura, let me just go with what Laura just said. If I'm talking to someone and I'm saying, how's business? And they say it's going really well, I think we're going to expand into New Zealand next year. Right? Then I can say, if I'm Laura, I can say, I'm looking for introductions to friends of yours who have small businesses that they've started, but they're looking to expand. And I have a client who's looking to expand in New Zealand next year, as an example. And I've helped them to come up with some systems, some processes, and some answers to how to do that and how to make sure it's systematic and that they can continue that growth. So I'm looking for introductions too, right? So that's the kind of thing that we're doing. Each line is a 60-second story. And you have, what we want to do is eventually come up with, in order to get you 12 presentations, we need 12 lines. But planning isn't the only thing we're doing. Let's now go to the next slide. Bragging or informing. Now, in the member success program, I talk about bragging. But some people get confused about bragging and they think, well, people don't brag about that. Well, they're informing you about something. Let me give you an example that I just really love. This would be probably a good one for Helen and for Jem, at least. And that would be informing. I always hear it. You always hear people tell you, I'm expecting to be a grandmother soon or a grandfather. I've just found out that I'm going to be a grandma. Like, you can imagine someone telling you that in the real world, right? You can imagine that being the case. They're bragging. They're so excited. They're informing you that something's about to change in their life. Or they might be bragging about the fact that their kids did really well in the HSC. Yeah. Or they might be bragging about the fact that they have 300 5-star reviews now. Yeah. So these are things that you can imagine people saying. I just got 300 5-star reviews. I'm so excited. Yeah. It's just a little intit. Now, what we don't know right now, we don't know if that means that they need the services of anybody in the room, but it might indicate that they need you. All right. So informing matters for someone like Chris. When someone says, you know, and it might sound a little bit like planning that I said before, but it doesn't really matter. I'm being informed that a friend of mine or a supplier of mine doesn't have payments coming in. And I can't make the payment to you because I can't get the payment from them. Yeah. I can't give my payment to you yet because I've got this cash flow issue because I haven't been paid by a major supplier. That's informing me of something that I now might be able to help you with because I can introduce you to Chris. That makes sense? I want you to write down, if I've tweaked you into a little idea, I want you to write down 4 things that people might say, inform me of, that might indicate that I should introduce them to you. 4 things, 1 sentence. could be, you might think, Wendy, this is the same thing as planning. That's okay. Did you come up with something different? I'm thinking for Helen. No, I can't have you guys over to our place because it's just too messy. And they say that all the time. No, we can't have the meeting at our house. The dining room table isn't a dining room table. Informing for a for Laura, if someone is informing you or me that they are just I've just and I want to keep this around bragging and keep it positive rather than the other, because we're going to go to negative in a minute. Don't worry. Negatives there, Chris. We're going to come up for you, coming up for air in a minute. But thinking about
Busy, they're doing so well, or they're looking to expand, or they need more staff.
yeah, exactly. I don't have time. I don't have time. I've got so much on. That's bragging. People think that's bragging. I think that's complaining, to be honest. But so many people think it's bragging to say, oh, I'm so busy. Ah, so busy. Yeah.
I love that. I'm like, oh, great, you need help.
That's, that's exactly right. I was telling the people in the leadership roundtable, one of the things that I don't like the most is when someone leaves BNI because they're so busy. Too busy.
Mm.
I'm too busy. I can't do BNI anymore. That is not a reason to leave BNI. That is a reason to get your business in order and to be able to ask for better clients
Mhm.
or to grow your business.
Yeah, don't stop filling the pipeline.
Never, never. So bragging, let's come up with some brags. So let's see. Jean has not taken a bite. Jean, is there I was trying to time that one well. What would someone be bragging about or informing me that might indicate that they need you?
One of the ones for me is the business has really taken off this year. If it keeps up, I'm going to have to do something. Hire people.
Beautiful. Lovely brag. A lovely brag. How about you, Jem? What do you think? What would people be bragging about?
Bragging about the new place that they bought, but they are not happy with some of the functions.
Yeah, so they're so excited that they got this new house. The view is amazing, the street's amazing. I can't wait to upgrade it. I can't wait. I'm so excited about it. Good. Helen, what about you? Something someone would be bragging about.
Well, I think I said it before, moving, and that I don't want to take all my crap with me, but I don't know where to start. So they're moving.
Nice.
That's the big thing. Yeah.
All right, so notice that what I'm trying to do with each of you is reply with what they'd be saying.
Yeah.
All right, so I am so excited about moving.
Yeah.
That's what they're bragging about. That's the brag. So what you want to do when you're doing your weekly presentations, you want to capture that, because you want to capture what real people would be really saying, so that we in the audience in your chapter can listen to that and go, oh my God, I hear people say that all the time. Or maybe not. But when I hear people say that, I'm going to think of you. Let's see, we'll go to Ross and then to Laura. Ross, do you have one new line? You need to unmute. You need to unmute. Maybe he's not talking to me. You need to unmute.
Got a customer who's looking to update his boat vessel, and he wants to get a bigger boat so he can go further offshore.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, that is planning and bragging all at the same time, but it's about one thing. I love it. Yeah. I want to get a bigger boat. I'm ready for a bigger boat. I want to go further. I want to do other stuff. Yeah. And you can imagine people saying that, I've been fishing in the harbor, but I need to get a bigger boat and I'm excited about it because I want to go out of the heads. Yeah. I want to go further offshore. You can imagine people saying those sorts of words. Laura and then Chris. Just one line.
Oh, I thought I gave 5, so I'm gonna pass.
Oh,
Yeah,
you
the
might have
busy-
already done it.
Yeah, I have.
Go
Yeah.
ahead, do it again. One more.
Oh, well, the busy or doing really well. Yeah, like you
Yeah.
said, need more staff or
Love it. All right, Chris, one from you about bragging or informing.
Well, a client who says to me, I've won a contract or I've won a project, but I can't sort of lock it in because the person I'm dealing with is having problems with other people, legal problems with other people.
Yeah, that's a great one. That's a great one. All right, let's go to our final. These are teaser words. The words I'm using, planning, bragging, complaining, these are teasers to get you thinking about what your clients would be saying to me, not to you, to me, because you're trying to teach me how to introduce you to the right people. You want the right people. You don't want leads. You don't want stupid referrals. You want great referrals to people that really need you. So you need to teach me what to listen for. So here is the gold mine. Because as humans, we complain to others very easily about things. We don't brag very easily. We don't share what we're planning very naturally, unless it's to a friend or unless we are asked. I often ask, what are you planning on doing next year when I go out networking? Because I like to ask people about things that. I also like to ask people, what's something you're really proud of this year? Bragging, getting them to brag without them saying, oh, I'm doing this year, right? So complaining, though, people will do, they can meet you in a queue and start complaining. It's unbelievable weather today. It's so hot. The parking was awful. The traffic is bad. I can't believe school traffic. I can't believe this. I can't believe, like, people can complain about anything. And oftentimes they're simply venting. Oftentimes they're not asking for help at all. But nonetheless, they'd be complaining. And this is where Chris's gold mine comes into play. They're complaining because they aren't getting paid. They're complaining because someone's infringed on their trademark. They're complaining because someone's complaining that they infringed on their trademark. And they're being accused of infringing on someone else's trademark. They are complaining because there was some a contract deal that got ignored in the contract, and it's impacted the profitability of the entire project. Or prices have increased, and the contract explicitly said that as prices increase, we get to do this, but they are now arguing that they didn't because we had it in writing from before. All of these things, complain. What were they complaining about? To me, not to you, but to me. This building that I have just started working on is an absolute nightmare. That's someone complaining. You hear the word nightmare, they're complaining. My tax bill has come in, and I cannot believe I still owe so much money and that I haven't saved so much. Why didn't my accountant know that? I can imagine friends of mine and even business acquaintances saying that to me. So Ross needs me to be listening for that. And then he needs to tell me what to say to them. So we're going to get to the what to say in a minute, but I need to know what the complaints are. So Ross, you need a list of those complaints. That's one. Another one is that, you know, my fellow business owner, we are arguing about the way that we're splitting the profits. You know, the way that I'm putting money in, the way he's putting money in. Now, Ross might say, listen, you need to start to talk to a commercial lawyer. Talk to Chris. He's a litigator. You can argue with your, but there's probably a solution at the accounting level as well to make sure that maybe some time sheeting is being taken care of in order to make sure that people understand what their fair share of the profits are later. I don't know. I'm making this up. But Ross, your clients have given you these lists. All of your clients have come to you with complaints. This is the list you can come up with easily. And you probably have 48 presentations already in your pocket by sharing with me this list. I only want you to come up with 4. Of course, if you only came up with 2 in another category, you can list more. I'm going to ask each of you to report back one really juicy complaint that I might hear from someone over dinner. They're talking to me over dinner and I've asked them how things are going. And this is what they say. And I go, wow. I actually know someone who might be able to help you with that. What would they say to me that would make me say that about you? What would they be complaining about? And I go, oh. And it can't be generic. This has to be really specific. By the way, Jem, one of the things people might be bragging about is going and looking at like expos. I'm going to go look at expos because I want to see what all the new mod cons are that I can put into my house when I renovate. Yeah. Or I'm going to see like I went and looked at a passive house the other day. On the weekend, I went and looked at one that was built by one of the builders in BNI. And that it might be an indication that I want to do some renovation, but it's not for sure. And the timing might be completely off. So you need to give me the question to ask. If I meet someone who's gone to that passive house, what should I ask them? Do you already have an architect in mind? Yeah?
Yeah. Wendy, what is
That's
your phone? I will call you.
yeah. See, that's the question. The question you need to ask is, are you looking at building a passive house for yourself in the future? And if they say no, I'm just curious, that's not a referral. That's a conversation. It's not a referral unless they say, yeah, I'm so super excited about doing it one day. And then asking them the next question, which you teach me, which is, do you know an architect who works in passive housing or who understands it or who could work with you in that? You know what I mean? You need to teach me what the simple questions are to ask, because if they say yes to those, then I can then say, do you mind if I introduce you to someone? I've got an amazing, like, I think I've got the perfect person for you. Not, I know someone. I know someone is such a boring way to refer people in BNI, and it's so overused. I know an accountant if you need one. No. I actually know the best accountant, and it's why is because the problem you just described is exactly what I know he can fix. And I meet with him every week. I'd be very happy to introduce you. Do you see the difference? Very different. All right, we have 7 minutes to go, so I'm going to quickly go through, and then I'm going to get to the last section of our presentation. So I would love to hear a complaint that I could hear if I'm having dinner with someone. Let's start with Laura this time and then go to Chris. Laura, what would I hear at dinner?
I want to start a business.
Cool. I want to start a business. I'm ready to start a business.
I hate my
Is that
job.
complaining?
That would be normally I hate my job. I'd love to start my own business or be my own boss.
There we
That's
go. I hate my job. And they're talking to me. I own my own business. They're saying, you have it so easy.
Yeah.
I have this corporate job and I feel like I'm just stuck. Do you see how I've just changed the words of what you said to things that people might say? Oh, you're so lucky you work for yourself. This corporate job, I'd love to start my own business. What's the next question I should ask? Probably not, do you need a business coach? That's not the next question. It's a conversation I need to start, which is, what would you do?
Yeah.
What would you do? Who do
Or do
you know?
'cause a lot of people don't know what they want to do in that scenario. So, oh, what's the business that you want to start?
Yeah.
And something's like, I don't know. And then that's a good segue to, oh, I know someone who does like a Pathfinder course who can help.
There you go. See? So Laura's just taught me that she not only can help business people who have businesses, she can help people who don't have businesses figure out what their values are and what their interests are in order to find a business that they're going to love. So there, you've just taught me that because so that is certainly a story all by itself that I bet not everybody knows in Ocean View. BNI Ocean View. And if you were to tell that one little story, so you say, hi, my name is Laura. I'm from Champion Women and I'm a business coach. One of the things that I would love for you to listen out for over the holidays is for friends of yours who are frustrated with their corporate jobs and would love to start their own business. They will say things like, wow, you are so lucky that you own your own business. I'd love to do that one day. But they might not even know what they want to do. I can help them to find that course, to chart that course. It's one of the bows in my, I don't even know the right word, but it's one of the things that I do. And it would be fantastic if you would ask them these two questions. What would they like to do? And would they like help figuring that out? And if that's the case, let's talk about how you could introduce them to me. Okay. And then they can have a one-to-one with you and do more. You've only got 60 seconds. Speak slower. Say less.
Yeah.
Speak slower, say less, but say real words that people are going to hear. I want you to listen out for the friends who are thinking about starting their own businesses, but they don't know what they want to do. And you could then pretend that they're at a dinner party and saying that. And then you ask them what they want to do and they don't even know. They just think they want to start something fresh. That'd be a great person to introduce me to. Let's have a chat and let me share with you how I can help them. Yeah. And then you don't list all the great things you do and all of that, but you can say, I've had success at helping people to find that in the past. And you could give a short 1-sentence example. I could help them like I helped my friend Becky. She's a client of mine who hadn't an idea of what she wanted to do. And we mixed her passion for marketing with her passion for bead making. And voila, she's got this multi-million-dollar business now exporting to the Southeast Asian markets. I don't know, I'm making shit up, but I recorded the word shit just then too. So yippee. Okay. Thank you very much, Laura. Do you see how I took your one little thing and I turned it into an entire 60-second presentation that is going to change the way people think about what you can do? And next week, you can either repeat it with a little bit of a different story and do a campaign of sorts over 3 or 4 weeks, because not everybody's listening every week. They might be writing because the last person, the person before you, said something interesting, and they might still be thinking about that. And then you say it again the next week. You get them in.
Yeah.
Chris, would you like to share with us a complaint?
One complaint, which is an actual one I had a few years ago, is some person said he'd agreed to sell his superannuation funds management business to an investor with deferred payments, so payments in tranches, and the following tranches were to be, the value of them was to be calculated by a formula based on funds under management, and in the period between paying the first tranche and having to pay the second tranche, absolute windfall. They got massive funds in management, so the price multiplied. So that was their complaint, was they're trying to recover this tranche number 2, which is about 3 times as much as the buyer thought it would be. And they want to enforce the contract, but the buyer is saying that the mathematical formula that was used was ambiguous, which was nice.
I love
A
it.
nice use of
Now,
maths. Yeah.
that's a fantastic story, and in the
Now that's a
interest of
big.
time,
That's the kind of complaint. Yeah, it's the kind of
yeah.
complaint I get on a much smaller level, but that's the most sort of dramatic one I had.
So in the interest of time, because it is 1:29, what I'm going to say to that, and I hope all of you listen, just listen to what I've just told Laura and what I'm about to tell Chris, is that what you've got right there is you've got a story that you need to now try and reflect into my brain to hear another story from someone else. And what would they really be saying? I tried to buy a company, and the payments keep changing. They keep going up. Like, how can you simplify the story so it fits in a minute? And you can then say, I've actually dealt with that issue in the past. It's a complaint that I hear regularly. And when we're having a one-to-one with each other, let me explain in more detail the way that I dealt with it, or something like that. It's really powerful, the weekly presentation. You guys, what people are saying in the real world is what you need to get me to listen for. And then you need to teach me what to say to them to figure out if it's a referral opportunity for you, or if I can turn it into an introduction that is powerful for you. That's your job. Your job is not to tell me all the things you do. Your job is to teach me how to bring you great referrals. Who do you want to meet? How do I identify them? It's by what they're planning, bragging, and complaining about. And only one per week. Don't clutter it. Slow down. Say less. And then, what question do I ask to start the conversation? Remember, for Laura, I said, what kind of business would you want to start? They might have something in mind, they might not. But that's the question that I want Laura to talk about, because it's got to be natural for me. And I don't have time for complimentary dessert, so what I'm going to do is go to this. Tim Roberts is my favorite podcaster. I guarantee that you will learn stuff if you continue to listen to him on The Power of One, BNI, The Power of One podcast. And he said this: if you're not getting the quality or the quantity of referrals that you want from BNI, ask yourself, what have I been doing to dictate the results I want to achieve? At the end of the day, you're the one in charge of the results you get from your membership. And one way to do that is by telling people exactly what you want and how to make the introduction. That, my friends, is a wrap. Thank you for spending your lunch time with me. Next year, I am so excited. We've got another one in another Lunch and Learn in December to plan for next year. So I hope you'll come to that. I hope you'll tell other people that they missed out and they should listen to the recording. And slow down, say less, just like they do in Hamilton. Bye. See you later.
Bye.
Goal.
Bye.
Thanks, Wendy. Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, Wendy. Bye.
Bye.